Welcome to the Success Fitness Podcast. I am your host, Christian Evans. This podcast is for adults who wants to achieve success in their fitness journey. And our special guest today, Joe Marro, will help us do just that once he shares his story of how he went from 295 pounds and had a total weight loss of 130 pounds. Without further ado, Success Fitness family, please welcome Joe Marro to the podcast. How you doing?
Hi.
What's going on, man? What's going on? So you are in, what city are you in right now?
So I'm currently located in New York on Long Island, in a town called Deer Park.
Deer Park. Okay. In, I think 2018, I believe I was in Long Island. I shot this segment for this TV show called Plant-Based with Nafsika. It was a television show. I believe it was on AMC, I believe. Oh, wow. Yeah. And she was highlighting people who had, weight loss transformations, who, had a plant-based lifestyle. And at that time I wasn't solely plant-based, but I had some plant-based recipes. And so flew out to New York. When I landed a couple hours later, my face literally swole up from, I guess, the air pressure. So I had to go on TV with almost like a tennis ball size thing on my cheek.
No.
So that was, yeah. Didn't get to enjoy New York like I wanted to. But what's the weather like out there right now?
So today actually was very warm. It felt like summer. I think it reached almost a high of 80 today. And we're in almost at the end of October, which is quite rare for this time of years.
I got you. So you started your fitness journey at 295. Tell me how you got to 295. Was it just kind of a big guy from childhood, or what was it?
So I was overweight for essentially my entire life. Over the years between I was very busy working multiple jobs and, always eating on the go and, also was not exercising regularly as well. So several factors contributed to my weight gain over time, and really not understanding nutrition as a whole and what it really was to eat healthy and really develop a workout routine that I enjoyed, and really a workout routine that I was also working hard and burning as many calories as I could. So I think kind of a contribute, multiple different factors contributed to that.
I got you. Now, when you got to, let's say, 295 and creeping up to it, you mentioned that your professional lifestyle, as far as working and kind of just eating always on the go, what was anything that stuck out as far as going to work or coming back home from work, having energy, not having enough energy? Did that play a factor until you say, for you to say, hey, enough is enough, I need to start a change? And if that was the case, what was an example of that?
I think the realization where it hit the most, I always wanted to, it never was that I didn't want to lose weight. I always wanted to be healthy. I always wanted to be thin, but I never knew the right way to go about it. And I thought that I was doing all the right things when I wasn't. So for example, I would go out and have a salad thinking I was eating healthy, but I also had a plate of bread with it. And, and then they spread all this cheese on the salad and then heavy dressing. And you're like, oh, it's just a salad. But the reality is, after really understanding and knowing what's in your food, knowing that.
Before I run, I use my secret weapon to maximize my performance, the Breather Fit. Not only does the Breather Fit strengthen my lung capacity, it helps accelerate recovery from my workouts. All it takes is 10 breaths for 2 sets to maximize performance before my morning runs. Use my code FITBREATHE at checkout to get 20% off. With Breather Fit, you work hard, but breathe easy.
It wasn't healthy.
What was that realization like? Because we've all had that moment to where I like how you worded that. It's healthy because that's how it's marketed. You know what I mean? So it's like we take this, we have to take accountability. That's one. We have to own our responsibility. That's two. But in addition to that, it's how things are presented to us just as well too. And it's like, okay, like you said, you got a desire to be healthy, wanting to be healthy. And it's like, okay, I will eat a salad, right? And you're like, okay, it's healthy because one way or another, that's how it was sold to me. But there's another level to it. You started to look into the nutritional facts of it, kind of afterwards, once you decided to start your weight loss journey. And you're like, oh my goodness, by the time I get through adding all this stuff up, I could have just had a cheeseburger, like when it really comes down to it. So when you came to that moment of realization of, from a caloric standpoint, what this salad is, what was that like for you? What went through your mind, if you can remember, regardless if it was that salad or just something else? You started coming into knowledge of nutrition and calories and what you were eating. And what was that moment for you like in comparison to what you had been eating?
So the moment came about when I went to the doctor, because I got, I was getting my blood work done, and my doctor was like, you need to, if you don't change something, you're going to develop severe health issues and potentially one day die. And and my doctor was kind of alluding to the fact that by the time I'm 40, things are going to be really rough for me. And
around what age was this when you went to the doctor? What age was this?
I think I was 33, 32.
Okay, somewhere early 30s. So early 30s. I got you. I
think around then.
Okay.
So that was like the realization of something has to change, and I have to do this the right way. And so I came to the realization that I have to learn the right way. And there was no excuses, because I was on the way of developing diabetes. I had low, I had issues with my vitamin levels. I had issues with my thyroid. I had issues with just energy and breathing and cough. I would just cough nonstop and not understand why or anything. And so I knew that realization came true. And, I just started learning nutrition labels, and I started calorie counting. And that's kind of where I started. Just be like limiting portion size and really just understanding how to read a nutrition label with calories, and just started there, and just making sure I was including vegetables more and cooking my own food, because I just never really cooked my own food. And so just noticing those differences, and going to the gym, and started taking group exercise fitness classes, and just developing a routine, no matter what, I'm going to go to the gym X amount of days, and I'm going to, stick to a calorie count per day. And that's kind of just where I started for the first year. And when it came to even salads, learning how, and I know we're kind of what we were talking about a little bit earlier, just knowing what I'm putting in there and how many calories it was. That's kind of where I started. And I did that for the whole first year.
Okay. So that doctor's visit is the one that kind of, lit a fire underneath you. And when you get that blood work done, now, had you gone to the doctor prior and gotten blood work done before, or was this one of the first times?
So I never really regularly got blood work done. And so I just, I wanted to just find out, where is everything at? And
yeah, because when you get older, you start to, you think about just your mortality a lot more. When you're in your 20s, you don't think about it, that kind of stuff or whatever. But it's this part of life when you get older and you're like, hey, what's really going on with me? Like you said, you were coughing, nonstop. And it's like, okay, what's really going on with me? And then when, you schedule a doctor's appointment and you get this blood work done and it comes back and you see what's going on under the hood, what's going on in your body. And it is a wake up moment. It is a wake up moment because it shows you're not invincible.
Right.
As we once thought we were, being young, staying up late, eating whatever, just being youthful. But we start to pay for those youthful decisions in our 30s, you know what I mean? And, early 30s, mid 30s, late 30s. And then it's like, it keeps going. If the Lord bless you to see another day, it keeps going. So you leave the doctor's office and, you're waiting your blood test. And, once your blood work comes back and you see borderline diabetic, what was going through your head when you saw that, in addition to all the other, different levels of, from protein to what else kind of stuff, cholesterol, because I just got mine done this past March. And I saw some stuff. I'm like, oh my goodness, whatever, sodium levels and things like that. What was going through your mind when you started seeing all these different just information, put it like that? It's because you can't just point out one. Sometimes it can just be one. But what was that feeling like, seeing all this, your diagnosis of what's going on with Joe?
So I felt that I didn't want to die. And I felt like this was a path that if I continued it, I was going to die. That was going on my head all along. And I didn't want to die. Mm-hmm. And I'm very passionate about my career, and I couldn't imagine myself not making an impact in my career. And I couldn't even imagine, because I was a teacher for over 14 years.
Okay.
And I couldn't imagine not being able to make an impact through my students and through my students' lives. And for me, I couldn't imagine my students to see me go through death or have a.
Now, what subject do you teach, and what age range?
So, so predominantly through my career, music at the high school level.
Okay.
And I recently received a promotion over the last year, and now I became an educational services administrator.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes. And so but at that time, working directly with students, I wanted to be, I didn't want people to see me go through that. And being in front of students all day and my family seeing me go through that, I just wanted.
You kind of envision the worst case scenario of like you said, just being sick, and the worst case scenario of being sick, and you didn't like what you saw as far as kind of like that visualization of, it's like, okay, this is, me being sick with a diagnosis that my end is coming, with an actual date they give you. It's like, hey, you only got 2 months to live, or 3 months to live, right, or whatever. And yeah, that is heart wrenching, especially if you are in this field to where people depend on you, right, and you're teaching, and right, it's that connection. And it's like, I have a possibility to lose that connection if I don't get myself together, right, so that's deep. So you begin to start your weight loss journey, right? Do you know around what year that was, and how old were you when you decided to okay, here's my day one? What year was that, or how old were you?
So I started in 2017. How old was I? I'd say 32, 33 years old.
Okay.
It was a journey over the course of a few years. In the first year, I lost a significant amount of weight. And what happened was I was doing everything mostly by myself.
Okay.
So, and I was going up and down and up and down
Yeah.
in my second year. I was just trying things on my own. I
Okay.
was, I was like, oh, let
So
me
no
hop it.
nutritionist, no personal trainer, no nothing. It was just Joe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was doing like different group classes, like more hit workouts, more, and just like trying to continually limit calories. But what I found was, I even when I was limiting calories and when I was doing that, I found that even though I was losing a little bit, I was gaining it all back, losing a little bit, gaining it all back. So then I reached the point where I was like, I this isn't right. Like I was thinking, oh, this is just me. It's my genetics. I'm just gonna be overweight. Like that's just what it is. Like no matter what I do, nothing works. That was my mindset and mentality at the time. And
Hmm.
so when the new year hit, I was like, no matter what I'm gonna do, I'm going to be at the gym 5, 6 days a week, and I'm going to follow a workout plan. And I'm going to follow a nutrition guide. Within those 2 months, got off of it again. And I'm like, and I was just so frustrated because I'm like, oh, like, and I was still eating out sometimes, but like thinking that what I was eating out was, or eating on the go, what I what I thought I was doing right, I wasn't doing right.
Now, do
And
you think that was the main thing, or was it one of many that caused the roller coaster? What we call that, yo-yo dieting or going up. You lose 10, gain 8. Lose 8, gain 10. You know what I mean? That roller coaster. What do you think was the main culprit, or let's just say one of many? What was well, you gave one about as far as eating on the go. But what do you think was like the main culprit of the yo-yo dieting, or what was behind the yo-yo dieting?
I think it has to do with not being consistent. Because I would think I was eating right stuff when I wasn't, and I was following like, oh, so I'm not going to eat rice, and instead of rice, I'm going to eat this, and I thought that was the right thing, and it wasn't.
Yeah,
And
you come to
so,
find out, like you said, when you reading nutritional labels, it's like, well, I probably could have had the rice, but
right,
this what I thought was good or healthy is totally not, and that can set some type of frustration in, because again, it's when we left to our own devices, and at times if we don't have a guide, if we don't have a nutritionist or a personal trainer to guide us, those roller coasters, those peaks and those valleys, that up and down that yo-yo dieting, we tend to go through that a lot more because we were trying to figure it out. Nobody has kind of like gone through the woods and chopped down the trees to create this path for us to walk down, but us at the time. But it's like, sometimes you may cut down the wrong tree. You know what I mean? Then get stung or get bit by whatever critter or animal comes out there, whatever the case may be, just losing stuff in the figurative term. But what you just said right there, it's like, hey, I'm trying to figure it out on my own. And that is part of figuring out on its own, that frustration and, maybe not getting it right. So when you did get it right, what did you do? What was the major change that finally allowed you to progress?
so I worked with someone that devised a plan with me based on macronutrients, based
Gotcha.
upon food that I like. And so I was like, no matter what, I'm going to make my own food. I'm going to make my own food. And I'm just going to follow this plan to the T. And if it's not successful, then it's not my fault. You know what I'm like? It's not my
Right, right,
fault.
right, 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 right. I'm not going to blame. I can finally blame somebody else.
I'm like, if they're telling me, if the person I'm working with is telling me to follow this and follow this workout plan, follow this and do that, and it's still not working, then I don't know what to do at that point.
Right.
But it's all about the consistency and following and following it. And then I found that with that consistency and following the plan, I started noticing 1 to 2 pounds a week, 1 to 2 pounds a week. And ultimately just being consistent and getting in, and also getting in steps every day. That was a big part of it as well. Getting in the steps, adding resistance-based / weight training on a regular basis, and counting macronutrients.
So when you got your, what do you want to call them? A personal trainer, nutritionist?
Yeah, I was working with, yep, exactly.
Well, nutritionist or personal trainer or hybrid?
Yeah, both.
Okay. So what were some of the main differences in when it comes to nutrition, right? Because we can talk about workouts later, but the nutrition part I want to hone in on in comparison to what you were doing and how they guided you or presented you a nutritional plan. What were the two differences, or what was the difference that you seen from your plan to your personal trainer's plan in regards to nutrition?
I really think that counting in macronutrients was the key point of it. And, especially increasing the amount of protein intake.
Okay. So the increase of protein.
Yeah. And then decreasing your carbs. Carbs typically get this bad rap.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But carbs are important. They're the fuel source for your daily life. So, it's important to have carbs, but in a proportionate and the right amount for what your needs are for weight loss as well. So in doing that, and also adding in healthy fats as well, because as I learned through nutrition, I never really ate healthy fats in general. I really didn't eat fish, depending on the type of fish that has a healthy fat in it. I've never had, I never regularly ate avocados or, your peanuts, or like your cashews or, your walnuts or anything,
so you're just introduced to a whole just different world of things that you could eat. Things that you could eat that you hadn't eaten before. And because you were focusing more on your macronutrients, now you're piecing together different things that you can eat based off of your energy levels or your energy expectancy, and it's this I don't want to call it weird from a negative standpoint, but weird as a positive standpoint, where it's like you're entering into this new world that all just makes sense, because once you start inputting all of it, and then you're starting to see, it's like, okay, today I got more protein, tomorrow I'm doing a little bit more carbs, this day I'm doing a little bit less fat. And you get to see in real time how that affects you. And it starts to make sense now. It starts to make sense. So the weight starts coming off. Now, going to the workout part, what were some things that you were doing in your workout routine in comparison to your personal trainer's workout routine? What was the difference between those two things?
My trainer added a lot of supersets into my workouts and a lot of drop sets. I learned about drop sets. I learned about properly lifting weights as well. I mean, because I would just either do group fitness classes or just do some of the machines, and that would be it. But there's and I wouldn't even know what my max rep was or anything like that. So I think I just kind of just did it on my own. I'm working out. But
right. So when you're working out on your own in comparison to what your trainer had you doing, were you working out more from a standpoint, were you at the gym longer by yourself, or were you at the gym longer with the guy from the personal trainer, or less? What did you notice?
I actually, with the personal trainer, actually worked out less.
Yeah.
Which people are like, oh, you don't spend 3 hours in the gym every day? I'm like, no.
Right.
I'm like, no. Hour to an hour and 15 minutes max.
Right.
Because your body
you said, those supersets
to recover. You don't
That's
want
true.
You don't want your body to be overworked, because and then that's going to cause you to want to eat more too. And
yes,
and there's no healthy balance as well.
Yeah. It's all madness, but in a good way, because and the reason why I say it's madness, I want to bring some clarity to it, is that, like you said, that hour to, let's say, hour and a half, like super just max, right? As far as time, as far as the workout. But then there's sometimes within your workout, you feel like I didn't get it all in, because we're not just talking an hour and 15 or hour and a half of, let's just say weights, because that's what people think, when you go to the gym, okay, it's just weights. No, this is cardio and weights to get in both in that, that time, where some people can split it, do 2 a days or however, but it makes it just that much more challenging. It's not difficult. It's just challenging. And I mean, challenging coming from, like you said before, personal trainer, I was in the gym, maybe, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. And now you're into this world to where everything is condensed, and I got to get my cardio in as well as, my weights as far as my strength training. And it goes by so fast. And then, like you said, it's like, if I don't stop now, then my body's going to start in simple terms, eating itself away. It starts cannibalizing itself, and that's all science. But it's like, you know what? I got to stop right now, and I got to come back tomorrow. That's that drive. So that's what I mean in that madness type of way, to where it's like, okay, I need to stop right now before I burn out. And like you said, it's like you get hungry. You get hungry now that you're focusing on your macros, and especially now we're talking about workout and protein. How did you respond to seeing how your body responded to the increase of protein, post workout, and understanding protein as a overall, well, protein in a macro level, pun on words, in regards to your fitness journey?
So I just noticed the ability to, help with fat burn, also with muscle growth. Just having more feeling more full. I think protein and also yeah.
Protein does that.
Following your macronutrients, I didn't find dieting to be a chore. It became a lifestyle, and it was. I don't want to say it was easy, because nothing's easy, but once you have it all figured out and you have something that you like, it was smooth. And I don't want to say smooth sailing, because
it made sense. It's like, okay, so you're pretty much a music teacher. So you're pretty much dealing with, let's say, structure, right? Format, bars, keys, all that kind of stuff. So in one way or another, music can be math, to an extent, right?
Right.
To an extent. And it's like placement, okay, we're going to place the horns over here, and they're going to be on this beat. We're going to place the drums right here, and it's going to be on this level. So it's levels and numbers. And from what I'm hearing, it made sense to you from tracking macros. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I get it. It's like a symphony now. It's like, okay, I got to, put my protein here. This is my overall goal of calories, but let's focus on these macros here, fats here, carbs here. I get this amount of energy from this food or that food, and it just made sense for you. And I really want people to understand that, because that is what's going to fuel you to go to the gym. More people, they just think, oh, okay, I'll go to the gym and I'm going to lose weight. That's part of it. And the key word is part. And it's not as big as a lot of people think it is. Don't get me wrong. It's good to shape up. It's good. And I'm a personal trainer. So me saying that is, almost sounds like, oh, he's saying working out is no good. No, I'm saying it's no good if your nutrition doesn't mean anything. If you don't have your nutrition down, like how you got yours down. And so you got your nutrition down, you got your workout routine down, you got you a personal trainer. What did it feel like when you lost your first 50 pounds? When did that happen? In regards to, I know you said you did a lot of up and down, but okay, now that you got everything kind of lined up, that 50 pounds where you knew, like, I can go further because everything is starting to come together and make sense now.
I think that the point that I can pinpoint where I was like, okay, like, that, like, kind of like the moment you're talking about was when the scale went up right below 200. And that was like, it was like, wow. Like, it was like that, like, whoa, this is really happening.
Yeah. Yeah. And I bet
That's
you were
really
just excited about that.
yeah, that was the moment. Like, I can't believe this. This is really happening.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then once you seen that, where was your brain at? I can tell you for me, when I seen the 50, I'm like, well, what about 60? And it like 60 pounds, even though it wasn't 60 pounds from 50, it was 10 pounds from 50,
Right.
but it's like 60 pounds overall. But it's like, okay, what does it sound like in my head to say, oh, you lost 60 pounds, like overall? And it's like, well, it's just 10 pounds away. And it's when you lose 50 pounds, it may sound arrogant, but hey, for those who know, they know. And it's like, oh, it's just 10 pounds away. Once you start losing weight, like after that 50, you're like, okay, when things become, it's just 10 pounds away versus remember when you first started, it's like, oh, those first 10, sometimes they can be difficult, or 20. But after that 50, like you said, everything just keeps rolling. So where was your brain at that 50-pound mark? Did you say this is enough or you want to go for more?
No, I wanted to go for more for
Yeah.
sure. I think that I had three uh, goal weights. The goal weights kind of changed over time, where I thought like I was like, hey, once I reach this weight, and then when I reached the weight, I'm like, no, this has gotta go further. And then I reached my other goal weight, I'm like, no, gotta go further. And I also found as well through the whole process as well is that once you have that, I feel like having the goals were really important, and just sticking to them as well was crucial.
I got you. Now, how tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
Okay, so 5'10", started off at 295, 300 pounds, dropped 130. What did it feel like when you hit the scale and you hit that ultimate goal that you set out of 130 pounds? Or was that the overall goal? Was that, by accident as far as 130?
No, I think that the 130 was after the third goal weight that I had. So I think what happened with me was that I didn't have that number in mind to lose all that weight, but that's kind of what the total was after reaching all the goals. And
I
so,
gotcha.
yeah.
So
And
you
so,
did it kind of like in increments, like, 40-pound increments, and, as far as go from there, is that how you set your goals?
well, for me, it was like a health thing. I wanted to be, for me, it was just, well, I didn't have like oh, I'm going to lose 130 pounds. No, it was, you know, this is where I think, and then I was also like measuring body fat as well. So I was like, this is the percentage of body fat that I want to be at. And then the weight kind of correlated with that as well. Because you can have people that are over 200 pounds as well, that are muscular, that have low body fat as well. So, weight is important, is an important indicator, but I also think body fat is very important as well. And knowing where your body fat percentages are at, I think that's very important too.
I got you. Now, when it comes to your workouts, kind of want to rewind a little bit back in regards to the supersets. What did you think about the supersets that your trainer gave you? That's one. And then two, give me some examples of what those supersets were.
So this, like, doing the actual supersets themselves, you definitely, like, your heart races a little bit faster. You're breathing harder. And the supersets add intensity, definitely.
Yes.
And so, like, doing one exercise right after the other, is essentially what the superset is. And, like, for example, when I was doing a core workout, I would do, like two different core exercises back to back. It would, a set of 10, set of 10. So essentially, when I was doing those two exercises back to back, and then I was doing 4 sets of them, you definitely got that sweat going a little bit further.
Yeah.
And you definitely burn more calories.
Yeah. That intensity, ramps up. And that's the beauty in regards to working out and exercises. I mean, there's an infinite amount of, let's say, supersets you can do in regards to muscles that you can pair as far as for your supersets, right? A popular one is back and biceps. I don't necessarily care for that combo. I like back and chest,
Right.
But let's just say if I want to hit a second back day, I can do back and core. And it's like you can just interchange it so much. And that was a big difference in going from a 2 hour workout to a more efficient hour to an hour and a half max, because you're supersetting. As soon as you're done with one, you go on to the next one. Give yourself a breather here, there, boom, boom, and you repeat, for however many sets. And then you move on. And then you look up and it's time to go. But you had a more efficient workout. You wasn't sitting fishing around on your phone too much, just sitting down, walking around, just like, hey, I don't know what to do. I'm wondering what to do. But you got that guide now, and your guide told you, hey, do this. And as far as the superset or these combinations of exercises. And did you notice a change instantly in regards to your physique, or did that take some time?
I felt increased soreness. And yeah, it definitely helped change physique as well. But I think the more noticeable feeling for me was the soreness.
Got you. Now, did you enjoy the soreness? Some people enjoy the soreness.
Right.
What did you what did you think of it? Because was it the first time you started being sore as far as from your workouts in comparison to what you were doing on your own to what your trainer had you doing?
Oh, definitely. I definitely felt more soreness, and I felt like I was working my muscles deeper for sure.
I got you. And it's like a different connection once you start feeling soreness in muscles and muscle groups, body parts that you didn't know you had muscles in. It's this discovery. And you're like, man, I've been walking around on this planet my whole life, not being able to feel my back, as far as muscles a certain type of way. And it took me to this age to finally feel it, or it's like a nagging injury and you finally figure out what exercises to do to strengthen that muscle or ligament around it. And then it's healed. And you start to see the power in your body of one, like you said, knowledge, like finally knowing what it is to do,
Right.
and how to put it together. Now, when you lost your 130, how did people around you respond to you, to that? Was it positive? Was it negative? And, what was your outlook on life then?
That's a very deep question.
Yeah.
Very deep question.
Yeah, because it's like, you always going to be the fat guy. That's like what was in my head, and not realizing how much weight I lost in comparison to how people viewed me. That's one. Then two, it's mentally, I'm the big guy. I'm still the big guy, but not realizing like I lost an entire person, 187 pounds. And I'm not realizing that. I was like, I still see my imperfections in my body, a little loose skin here. And it's like, okay, if I run 2 more miles tomorrow, or extra sit-ups, or extra 15 minutes in the sauna, that'll go away. And it didn't. And so you have these insecurities, that's one. And I was always just curious how other people felt. Did they feel that way? How I felt, and how did they perceive the world? I started perceiving the world just a little bit differently, during that time. But I'm curious. I asked that question to see, what was your view of the world then? And how did people receive you?
When I initially lost the weight, I did not think or even take into account the mental differences that occur after a weight loss. Because when you never go through something like that, you don't think, oh, I'm going to be affected in that way. But after I lost all the weight, as I noticed that I always had a very strong support system throughout it all. But
Good.
I noticed in all different situations how people, and I'm not saying everyone, I'm saying,
Right.
certain people, you have people that were happy for you, and you have people that you notice started changing around you. And,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
It's just
and
weird. It's just
yeah,
very weird. It's like I didn't hit the lottery. I didn't hit the lottery. It's not like you asked me for $1 million if I hit the lottery and I didn't give it to you. And it took me a while to at least come to some type of conclusion. I'm not saying it's the conclusion, but some type of conclusion. And I believe people see that power in you, that power to, go within here and go within here and see something in here and believe something in here and then execute it into where it manifests in the physical realm, which is your weight loss transformation. At least that's one of them as
yeah.
far as because I had to make it make sense. Like you said, it's like you acting weird. It's like you don't know if you're reaching, you don't know if you're overthinking the situation, but it's like, no, that's just what it
I
is.
was very shocked and kind of stunned by certain people that were around me because I don't ever view anyone for the way that they look or the way that they, that's not how I am. I don't view people like that. But unfortunately, you have everyone has different views and everyone handles things differently. And the world definitely changed around me
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
more ways than one. Definitely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's always just a deep reflection. That honestly, I don't even ask too many people. I think you're like one of the first ones I asked that because just listening to your story and flashing back during that time. And it's not like you want to jump out for joy. It's like, hey, everybody, I lost weight. Be happy for me. Say something good. It's like you're not even looking for
No,
that. But then sometimes different things come looking for you that you're like, hey, what is that? And then you analyze it, and then it's from somebody could be close or just weird stuff, and again, it just changes your perception of stuff, and now your eyes are just a little bit more open to, like you said, people can view other people from their physical aspects or lack thereof, and all these different type of let's say beauty standards, just for quick words or whatever. You start to see it. And it's like, oh, and you enter yourself into this whole other different realm. Here you are getting out of the realm of being overweight. And now you go from being overweight and now you enter this other realm of, body consciousness and how people treat, other people. Not to say that, when you're bigger, you get it and you kind of like let it bounce off of you a little bit, um,
and you don't
because
even
it's,
realize
like you
at the
say,
time.
yeah,
You don't even
yeah, yeah,
realize at
yeah,
the
yeah,
time that that's what you're
yeah.
doing. You don't
Right.
even you
Yeah.
don't even think that way.
Yeah, it's like a coping mechanism or defensive mechanism or whatever, and it's like, oh, just whatever. Because if you've been big for a while and been big all your life, you just really just get used to it. It's like, oh, that's the way it is, And it's like, I don't want to make anybody else feel as bad, I guess, as I did or I do or I once did. Or I'm just not going to do that to them. I'm not going to say a little slick. I can't call nobody fat if I'm fat. You know what I mean? So I'm not that. But then when you lose the weight and you get to see this different world of people and actions and how they view things, of course, more people are going to start talking to you about fitness and weight loss. And then you start to hear and see how they feel about weight loss. And it's like, that ain't it. But then you realize you were once there at one point in time. And it's like,
right.
okay, you let people speak their piece.
And it's definitely a rebirth of your mind.
Yes.
And you don't even know that that's gonna be a part of it, but it is.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which
for sure.
I'm sure you understand and
yeah, for sure.
Be my point of view on.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Now, what does your current diet and your current workout routine look like today?
So I work out about 5 to 6 days a week. I try to either go walking or I do cardio on the treadmill or the Stairmaster. I usually try to do about a half hour or 9 to 10,000 steps a day.
Okay.
In addition
Music
to that,
or no music on the treadmill, the stair climber. You do music or no music? Music teacher.
so most of the time no music because
Wow.
but here's the thing, when I'm in the gym, music's playing. So, you know, the thing is that there, I mean, even though there's no music, there's music. That makes
I
sense.
got you. I got you. I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
I don't put anything in my ears is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
But I usually, so it depends, like if you're bulking or cutting, you know, your workouts kind of change. But I typically weight lift, and I really enjoy weightlifting. And so I work out about 5 to 6 days a week now, and I usually I put a workout routine together. I like to kind of mix it up and vary it over time, depending on what my goal is.
I got you. I got you. Now, what major lesson did you learn about yourself after you lost the weight that you can share with the listener or the viewer right now who's on the fence about starting their weight loss journey?
Say that one more time.
I said, what major life lesson did you learn after you lost your weight that you can share with the listener or the viewer who's on the fence about starting their journey? You know, some people they could just be looking for somebody to say, you know, one thing to them about, you know, their weight loss journey or to start, or some people may not know. So what lesson did you learn, you know, afterwards that you're like, you know what, hey, this wasn't as bad as, you know, I thought it was going to be.
Being mindful and open to the fact that you may stumble, several times before you rise up. I think that's and really it's just the consistency that's really important. So really ensuring that and really making sure that you're serious about it too. You know, people that are overweight want to lose weight, but they also have to be willing to make changes to what they're currently doing. And if you're not willing to change or have any kind of mindset of shifting what you're currently doing, you have to reevaluate, because you have to be willing to make changes.
You heard it, Joe Marro. Let everybody know where they can reach you at. All your social media. You have a website, Instagram, and let everybody know where they can reach you at.
So if anyone wants to reach me, please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is happy and healthy for you, and it's spelled out happy and healthy, the number 4 you. And really, Instagram is really the best method of communication in order to get a hold of me.
There you have it. And that brings us to the end of another episode of the Success Fitness Podcast, and today's guest, Joe Marro. And we will have all of his contact information right here on the screen and also in the description of the podcast. And once again, if you would like to support the Success Fitness Podcast, please just sign up to my weekly newsletter. It will be in the description. You will get weekly emails when this podcast publishes every Sunday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. You'll also get access to my Facebook group, Success Fitness Family, and you will just get so much more, just free information. I got free workout ebooks. I got free ebooks of how many calories you should eat that me and Joe talked about earlier, because you got to know your macros, you got to know your proteins, your fats, your carbs, and how many calories. That is the first step to taking that first step into reaching your weight loss goals. But again, this brings us to the end of another podcast. If it's not making you stronger, simply chant more weight, more weight, more weight. Peace out.